Me too.
Well, it let it go live, so that tells me, yep, yeah, it's all good.
There we go. Okay. Like that. Let me repost this. We'll take a few minutes to chat.
Yepper.
Now, and why you should not keep your eggs in someone else's basket. Okay.
Oh, I should be recording our show today, don't you think?
I'd probably record it. Just maybe for a change. What the heck?
just for grins.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay, great. Terrific. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, you just never know what's going to happen with these accounts. And that's why that topic, the eggs in the basket, is so important.
Yep. I agree.
Huge. All right.
I could use a little, I feel like you're a little quiet.
A little quiet
me today.
Really? Okay, let's play around with that.
But the first thing I would ask you to do is launch Loopback.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And just make sure that it's not, that Loopback device isn't.
I didn't even launch. This is the problem. I did not launch Audio Hijack.
Aha.
All
right. Oh, well.
Is that better now?
Well, no, because if you're not grabbing you got to change your audio settings here in StreamYard too.
Okay, hold on. Audio.
This is how the sausage is made, folks.
You got it. We're doing this all live. How do I do the edit name? Where's my... Do I have
Go to settings.
Oh, right here, down at the bottom.
Audio, and then choose the virtual device for your mic.
Instead of the ATR, it's the
Correct.
Loopback. Okay.
Correct.
Can you still hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Nothing changed.
No.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Great.
I can. Can you not hear me anymore?
I'm going into the chat.
Hang
on, let me just 1 second here. Let's play around with this again. Camera, audio, speaker.
No, not speaker.
Yeah, mic. I got it. That's what my. Okay, now I've changed it.
Okay,
better.
I have the right microphone from you. Do you hear me?
Perfect. I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, great.
We're all set. Is that a better level for you as well?
It is.
You think?
It's
okay,
way
great.
Better.
Okay, I got to remember to put that in my my system here. Cool. All right, so if you're just joining us, we're getting ready to record Business Brain. We record 2 episodes every Tuesday, and the first one comes out on Wednesday, and the second will come out on Friday. So we're getting all the stuff together. Yep. And I'm ready anytime you are. Tomorrow is the 7th, huh? 8.
That's what they told me.
I heard that. Okay. 8/7, International something day.
It is.
Have you watched the Olympics at all? I haven't watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of it.
Not a ton, but yeah.
Not as much as I guess maybe I'm more into the Winter Olympics. So
yeah.
I don't know why, but
I'm hoping that we're at the next Winter Olympics because I'm hoping that Sky's fiance is
awesome.
skating for Italy in those. Yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah. That would be really good.
It would be. Yeah.
It'd be amazing. The Olympics are wonderful to go to.
Have you been?
I have. Went to the ones in Torino in Italy.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
So these would be back in Italy. Yeah. Milano. In Milano.
Happy. Milano.
Yeah. Milano. Yeah.
It's great.
I'm sure it's a logistical fiasco.
Well, yes, it is.
Okay.
But you just have to plan a lot in advance, and you just have to suspend reality about how much money you are going to spend because. It's okay. You're on vacation. Have a great time.
Yeah. Right.
And so you just go, all right, we're going to just do whatever it takes to get access and to do this. And
got it.
Because you'll have a much better time that way.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's like anything. We're planning a huge trip. We're not. We're involved in a trip that's being planned on very short notice to Disney World for my father-in-law. He's got a big birthday coming up and all this stuff.
Okay.
And, as we're looking at all of it, it's the same thing. You're either going to pay in time where you're just waiting around or you're going to pay in cash. And you get to pick.
You pick.
Which one you're going to be.
I'd much rather have the VIP experience, but
same.
Same.
Right.
Because I got stuff to do, but
and And this is true when you're on any kind of vacation, but I think it's true in life in general, but it's easier to compartmentalize it with vacation. You have a limited time there. Like if we're going to be in Italy, or no matter where you're traveling, if you're going to be in Disney World or wherever, you're there for a fixed amount of time unless you've got some open-ended deal. But if you pay whatever they charge, $140 a day for a ticket or something to Disney World, that ticket's only good for that day. So do you want to spend that day waiting in line, or do you want to pay a little more and move about the park a little more freely?
Yeah, that's abundance thinking right there.
Yes.
And like when we went to the Olympics, one of the best things we ever did is hired somebody to get us around and get us in, and not, somebody knew like, oh, wait, I can get into this parking lot, get you right up next to this so you'll get in faster. And then, oh, did you want to go wine tasting because you don't have an event this day? I know some people will go up to the hills. There's a term for that, and I don't know the name of it, but it's a guide, I guess. If having a guide on the ground that can tell you.
A Sherpa is what you want. Yeah. You want the Olympic Sherpa.
Don't go to this restaurant. There's a little around the corner that you would never see is a more authentic this and that. And that this is a huge hack to maximizing your time and just enjoying yourself more, to get a local that will guide you around, take you around. It's great.
We did that when we were in Greece. We wanted to see in Athens. We wanted to see all the sites.
Yeah.
And so we hired a guy. I forget. I'm sure at some point I was aware of what the cost was, and it was something we could afford.
Sure.
That's all I know.
Yes, that's
right. And it was like, okay, great. And Lisa's like, yeah, you're okay with this? I'm like, absolutely. He came to our Airbnb, picked the 5 of us up in a van, and was like, okay, he knew what order to go in. He's like, we're going to go to these 2 things first, because at the first one, you're going to buy the 3-way ticket, because that way when we get to whatever, the Acropolis later, you're going to skip the line because you've already got a ticket for the Acropolis.
They know it. They know the ins and outs.
Yeah. And he didn't go into any of the events with us. He just waited outside in his van, and it was like, great. Okay, perfect. Great.
Yeah, it's great. I've done it. Usually when we go to places like that, we get somebody that takes us around. And I've done it in DC when my kids, because it's just like, okay, actually we get to park right up front because we have this pass and I can get you here. And don't go to the Iwo Jima Memorial until after 5:00 or whatever. All these little things that helps you beat the system, because you're not going at 3:00 when there's a bunch of school kids out and it takes you 4 hours, versus after 5, you get in and out in 20 minutes, that kind of thing. So it's good.
All right.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So that was actually a fun little pre-show.
I enjoyed that. Yeah. You're the intro topic tomorrow for, I don't know what the topic is. So, okay.
Yeah. I need to bring up a website.
Visuals? Visual aids?
No. Well,
info for you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, okay, great.
Sounds great.
Okay, here goes nothing then. I have everything in the right places. Yeah, sure, why not? Business Brain, episode 571 for Wednesday, August 7th, Professional Speakers Day 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas, we crunch them, we use them to help tune our business brains so that we can, A, keep living that charmed life, and B, keep doing something that, Shannon, you mentioned in our pre-show, a 3-word phrase that I love. In fact, it was my grandfather's favorite phrase. It was the advice he gave me it was how he lived his life, but it was certainly the advice he gave me. And that is, we're going to work with each other to help learn how to beat the system, because beating the system is the key to leading that charmed life. And here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
Yeah. Out here in sunny California, I'm Shannon Jean. That was the tagline for my first big company that really took off. Mac Rescue was, we help you beat the system. And it was a play on words, because the system was the Mac OS.
Yes,
but it is a great philosophy that you should be figuring out ways to do things better. And, if you just kind of get slotted in and follow along, that seems boring to me. And if you're finding ways to kind of go diagonal, it's often much more fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was gonna start adopting that phrase here in Business Brain Week, but if it's something you've already lived with, you're okay with the reuse of it. All right, great.
I've sold that business, and that tagline is long gone.
Long gone. Yeah. Well, it is one that is near and dear to my heart. My grandfather was one of my favorite humans, and
that's awesome.
He taught me a lot. Yeah,
that's really cool.
He's the guy who invented the binocular viewing machines that you see at all the tourist traps and everything. Yeah.
That's very cool. And you have one of those, right?
I believe that I still am the only person to privately own one. The rest are all company owned and leased and all that. Yeah.
That's a great family story. And it's awesome that, he passed down those, those tidbits of wisdom that as living his life and what made a difference for him, man. That's great.
It's awesome.
That's very cool.
I have another little tidbit that comes from my friend Dr. Dan, or as he is known professionally, Daniel J. Levitin. He's a polymath. He's a fantastic musician. He is also a fantastic musician by practice and by training. And then also, he is a cognitive neuroscientist by practice and by training. Yep. And he and several other things, record producer and several other things too. I just interviewed him for my Gig Gab podcast because of the musical tie-ins to all of the things. But he said something during that. He wrote a book about 20 years ago called "This Is Your Brain on Music."
Oh.
Where he explained what happens in your brain with music. He has essentially the sequel to that coming out later this month called "I Heard There Was a Secret Chord, Music as Medicine," which really is the book he wanted to write 20 years ago, but there wasn't enough evidence to support music having medicinal powers. Now there is, and so that's his new book. I'll put links to all that.
Yeah, that's cool.
He talked about something in the book and also in our chat that was really interesting. He talked about our default mode network, which he gave the best explanation of. This is something that exists in all of our brains. When you're reading a book, for example, and you know that you're reading every word, but you realize that for the past 5 minutes, you don't know what you've read. You haven't paid attention to it.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Right. It happens to all of us. That's our mind wandering. That's our daydreaming mode. That is our default mode network of the brain. Okay. This exists in all of us, and it's healthy for all of us. And he says that people who take 15-minute breaks every hour and a half to 2.5 hours-ish and just, invoke your default mode network. The easiest way is to go for a walk in the woods or actively listen to music, like not listening to music while you're doing something else or meditating, any of those kinds of things, to just let our minds reset and process in that default mode network where our minds are doing more in the background than the foreground. He says the people that do that for 15 minutes every 2 hours or so, this is cognitive neuroscientist, so data is important to him.
Yes.
It has been proven that those people are more productive. They operate more efficiently. They get more done than the people who just work through and try and not let their minds wander. And instead of taking that 15-minute break, they go and have another cup of coffee and caffeinate themselves through the end of the day. So
that's interesting. After all these years, I still find, and I kind of think that I live a pretty uncommon life, and I've fought to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
But I still fight against this. I got to put in this much time, and I've got to do these things. It's tough to get your head around output. Just output. What did I get done? And now I've got to stop and let this default, your brain
default
just
mode
kind
network.
of default mode network, DMN. Let it reset and take a few minutes and either pick up a book that you're going to get yourself out of it. I think it's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah. Well, reading a book would not necessarily.
that wouldn't be it, right?
It can though. Like if you get to daydream mode with reading a book where you're not actually reading the book.
Sometimes it happens to me when I drive.
Driving,
that's crazy.
I think definitely showering.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Did I already wash my hair? I can't remember.
I can't remember. Right, because you're on autopilot.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to get to is where you're just on autopilot and you're not actively thinking. The times that I spend in the tank, like those kinds of things, are definitely there to. Yep.
That's amazing.
So
I like
give
that,
yourself permission to take that break and just do nothing. But meditate or walk for 15 minutes every couple of hours. You'll be more productive. It's proven.
Do you let your employees do that too?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think you encourage your employees to do that. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think
why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want them to be more productive?
No, you would. I was trying to figure out how do you build it in to where it's like, maybe if you're in a tech worker, kind of thing, that's more acceptable. But if you're in a production type of environment or something, you'd have to figure out how to structure it to where people could take that break and they wouldn't be seen as slacking off or something like that. So,
I think there's two parts of that. That's really interesting. I think one part of it is the company culture of embracing it so that it is not seen as slacking off, right?
Yes.
And then the other part of it is structuring it so that people see the value in truly powering down for those 15 minutes and not like saying, well, I know I'm supposed to take a 15-minute break, but I really I want to, like, if I take a break, I'm lazy. You really prioritizing it for what it actually is.
What it's supposed to be.
What it's supposed to be.
That's cool.
Yeah, the disconnect. Yeah.
Yeah. So while we're talking on this brain, stuff, it's interesting that was your intro topic because I want to talk about this concept that we've discussed this over the years of making your first independent money, right? Making some money on your own and how it impacts the way you think. And I call it, I've taken to call it this $1,000 brain switch, meaning if you can learn how to make $1,000 and I'm not even put a timeline on it. It's just make $1,000. That I think it's dramatically alters the way you think about life. And I've been, really talking about or thinking about ways to help other people get to this point. And I've been this framework I've been using. It's like entrepreneurship. It's kind of being like off the grid. Meaning you're not relying on someone else to provide your paycheck, your healthcare, all this kind of stuff. But also it ties into how can you make that first $1,000 to prove to yourself and your brain and your inner judge that I can make it. I made $1,000. Now how do I
do it again?
I can do it again and over and over. And maybe it took you 6 months to make that $1,000, but it's such a milestone. Then you can work on, okay, how do I now make $1,000 in 3 months? How do I make $1,000 in a month? How do I make $1,000 in 2 weeks? So
this is interesting. I think we've all heard wealthy people say, my first million was the hardest.
Yeah, of course.
But that's something that's unfathomable to someone who
it's not very accessible.
It's not accessible. That's the right word.
It's not.
But the $1,000. It's the same switch, by the way. The first million versus the first 1,000.
Exactly the same thing.
Put whatever number you want in there. It's the same switch. Yes.
Yeah. And you can do it. Like I put it in a newsletter recently. Ways to get there. You can buy stuff and sell it. That's great. There's all kinds of ways to do that. I've done that my whole life. You can sell your talent if you're a musician, if you're an artist, one of my favorite examples is years ago, I got a gift and it was a couple of frame prints and I love to fish. And they were just prints of these beautiful fish, but they were printed on top of old an old book, a page from an old book. In this case, it was all about fishing. And so they had this beautiful thing. And if you go to Etsy, you can get anything you can imagine printed on an old piece of, book, a dictionary, an encyclopedia, whatever it is. And there are people that sell these pages for anywhere from like $10 to $20. But if you look at the volume they sell, they're making thousands of dollars a month selling this. Oh yeah, you want me to print a picture of a fish on a piece of, a dictionary, encyclopedia? It's just right in front of us. Easy things that are easy to do, and then like selling your expertise. If you're good at something and somebody needs help and figuring things out. But I just think that, and I think that accessibility is the right answer, and that you hit on it. And maybe that's like, there's a great show called a great podcast called My First Million. These guys are tremendously successful. I have a ton of respect for them, but it's such a high bar that you're setting to start. It's like,
I was going to say there's a lot of people. I would say most people out there think they will never make $1 million.
Correct. And so my framework, thought process more is like, let's make the 1,000 first. And then, and we've repeated this ad nauseum over the years. You make the 1,000, then you can learn to make 10,000. Then you can learn to make 20, and then you can learn to make 30, because you learn it. It's like a muscle. It's just getting started. It doesn't matter what you do, and it doesn't, more than likely, you won't make any money at the beginning, but you're learning,
you're training yourself that that you can create value for other people. Yes,
you can do it, and you're going to make mistakes. Our philosophy: mistakes are tuition, and then you're just going to keep going and going. And so embracing this concept of, where is my $1,000 brain switch? Where is it? What can I do? Can I sell stuff out of my closet on Poshmark? Can I, do I have something I can do on Etsy? Like one time I thought, you ever seen those like steampunk lights that are kind of bent, and they're made of like black plumbing pipe, and they're really cool. And I looked on Etsy and I'm like, I wanted to buy one. It's like, that's $700. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to do it. So for sure, I was like, I can make that. So I went down to the Home Depot and I bought all this black pipe, very expensive, by the way. Had no idea. Had no idea.
Yep.
And then I did some little research and I wired this up, and then I bought some very cool LED, old-fashioned LED bulbs. And I made this
old-fashioned looking LED bulbs.
Old-fashioned looking, but they're LED.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, I must have been bored at some business or another. I'm like, I'm going to make a business out of this. But it took me so long to make. I was like, I'm not going to make a business out of this. But I hung it up in my family or above our kitchen table, and I look at it all the time, and I'm just like, I made that. I could, if I had to, I could make those things and make money on Etsy.
And I think that's another really valuable thing to bear in mind, is the "if I had to" clause, because you might not ever have to, and that's okay. But what you're talking about with the $1,000 brain switch is you're training yourself to be confident that you can make the next $1,000.
Exactly.
And that confidence buys you freedom, because you don't feel like, well, I just have to do the thing I've always done,
can't get
because
out of
that's
it.
the only way I can make money. You've proven to yourself that there are other ways to make money, right? So, and that simply having that knowledge is where the confidence to make the next, big progress comes from. And the "if I had to" stuff, like you looking at that lamp, like, okay, well, if everything else fell apart, if I had to, things haven't really fallen apart. I just need to do something different, and you know how to make money. And more important, you know that you know how to make money.
Yeah, it's a switch, man, and it's your like inner judge, because people get trapped, and I just rail against this concept that it's less risky to work for somebody else. I hate it, because it's not true.
It's false.
It's false. It's a myth, and it's taught since we're little kids. Oh, you go to work, you get a good job, and they take care of you. No, they don't. No.
They take care of themselves.
Yes, you're just a cog, and so you can learn to take care of yourself and do it yourself. Get off the grid, from the economics that everybody else gets involved in, and then hire those people that don't want to go out and don't believe in the $1,000 brain switch. Those are great people, and they need jobs, and so you can do that. But yeah, I really like this concept, and I've been thinking about it for a long time, how to phrase it and bring these things together that we've discussed. And so I'm really kind of leaning into this $1,000 brain switch. You're going to hear me talking about it all the time. Might even wear a t-shirt.
It, man.
Might even wear a t-shirt one day.
I like the t-shirt idea too. That's a great idea. That's awesome.
So if if you think I'm crazy, or maybe we figured it out, I don't know, but feedback@businessbrain.show. Share what you've done to flip your own switch and become an entrepreneur, build those muscles so you could be successful. We would love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he said, feedback@businessbrain.show, and let us know what specifically have you done that helped you flip that switch, or what do you think you could do, or do you need help flipping that switch? Let us know, and we'll help you flip it. Because that's what we want to do. Because we want you to beat the system. We want you to lead that charmed life. And we can all do it together. So I'll see you on Friday, folks. Later. Sweet.
That was good.
Yep.
Right on. So for the 110 people that are watching this right now, we're in the middle of the 2 episodes. Dave is going to flip some switches, twirl some knobs. He runs the smart end of the tape measure in this relationship.
I don't know about that. I feel like I'm just a cog in the machine here.
Yeah. But from the sound aspect and everything, I don't know anything about it. So
you can figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yep.
It
is teachable. I've been proving this.
We use StreamYard, and I was on a podcast last week. And they use Riverside, which is, I guess, another platform.
Yep.
And, it seemed like it works similar, and that they record locally. But it was the second time I'd been on a podcast with Riverside where the upload, there was an issue with the sound upload, and I don't think we even had that problem here. Is it recording a local version here as we're doing it?
I don't have it do that. Okay. I could.
I see.
They added that as a feature, but we get such good audio here that what happens if I have it record, especially your video locally, that uses a lot of horsepower on your CPU.
I got you.
And your machine is fast enough. I just know that because I know what kind of computer you have. But when we have a guest on, I don't know what they're using. And if I go turn on those local recordings,
they're fans.
Right. At best, they're fans. Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Yep.
That's a good point. So, yeah, but so once Dave is done with that after we're done recording the Friday show, we run it through a service called Auphonic, which I love, and then we create the post that automatically pushes out to every podcast platform in the known universe, and send it out to all the audio folks that are listening in their car, at home, whatever they're doing. Right, that's a good time. This is our 10th year of recording.
It's crazy,
it's insane, man. Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Oh, wrong. Okay, that's correct.
We're slowly getting it figured out.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Eventually. Yeah, it's fun.
All right. I think let me move my markers so that I know where I'm at here, and then I think I'm done.
That's great. So if you just joined us, we're going to record our second episode here. We've got a great intro topic called the Sammy Hagar syndrome.
That's right.
I'm interested to explore a little bit more.
All right. Be cool. Well, I'm ready to rock if you are.
I'm ready.
Here goes nothing. Business Brain, episode 572 for a casual Friday, August 9th, the annual Perseid meteor shower peak night of 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take an idea or three, we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to help tune our business brains so that we can each learn how better to beat the system and lead that charmed life that we all want to lead. Here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean. And how you doing, man?
I'm good. I was telling you before we started recording that I went to see that band Train. I wound up getting to know the drummer in Train because, I got to know him and then interviewed him on Gig Gab and got to know him more. And he invited Lisa and I out to a show the other night. It was my first time seeing Train. It will not be my last. They are a fantastic band live. And when I know you've seen them, Pat Monahan, their singer, he has his own version of what I think Sammy Hagar has, where he makes you feel like, even if you know he's going to do it, you still believe it, that this is the best night of the tour. You're the best audience that they've ever played for. This is the best that the band has ever played. There's something special, and you're getting to experience it. And I've seen Pat Monahan once. I'm guessing he does this all the time. Maybe the other night was the magic night. Right. Yeah, I could tell. But I've seen Sammy countless times, and I actually just saw him a week and a half ago, and he did the same thing. And I laughed when he started doing it because I've seen him do it many times before, and yet I still believed it.
Works. Yep.
Right.
Yep. We're going to see him, I don't know, next week or the week after, but out here at our local amphitheater. I just love the guy. And it's a skill that they must learn over time, the lead singers, and to be able to make you special. When we start talking about that, I was thinking, how do you a similar skill is making your customer feel that way, right? Where
is it a different skill? I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, I guess it's the same.
I'm Sammy's customer. I'm Pat's customer.
True. Yeah. Yeah. And so how that, making your customer feel like they're the most important, you're handling them the absolute best you ever can. What just a hack that if you can pull it off and personalize what you're doing, or, yes, you have to give great service. Yes, you have to, but there's ways to address everyone that you interact with at your business that they're going to feel special. And man, if you can pull that off, it's keys to the kingdom.
Well, I think part of it is that in the moment you have to believe it. And so there has to be something about it that is special to you. And
you as the deliverer
as the deliverer.
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
So, I mean, I certainly treat my customers this way, right?
Sure.
Each of them is special to me.
Yeah.
And when I'm interacting with them in that moment, they are my most important customer. This is simply true. I'm not thinking about somebody else. I'm here focused on you. And therefore, it's really easy for me to convey to them, both explicitly but also implicitly with body language and focus and all of those things, that I'm here. Like, I'm present. And I think that's a big part of it, is that being present, paying attention.
Yep. And I think you can even do it via email, because you're interacting so much online and answering questions email. But we talk a lot about using templated responses, whether it's a text expander type app or Help Scout, service that you're running all your customer service through. One of the things I see over and over is, I love the templates. I love that, but you still can personalize it, because when your customer writes into you, they always something that they're going to mention, like this. So it's paying attention to the personal things. So you can even add a personal comment or an emoji to the template. So when they get it back, it's like, you feel, hey, Shannon, hey, so sorry on Thursday, this, that, whatever. And then boom, there's the template stuff. But you have personalized it in such a way that, like, even in social media, what I find is people are in such a hurry replying, using their name in the reply is huge, because I think it causes them to kind of stop. Like in DMs, it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But if you start saying, hey, Dave, it just connects you emotionally much more, that you're like, oh, this person is recognizing me. They're not
paying attention to me.
Paying attention. Yeah. Value, right? They're giving value and that kind of stuff. So those guys do a great job, because they're doing it to thousands of people. at a time. Maybe they have an ideal customer profile too, where they're just singing to one person that they've developed over their, career. But you can do it too. I think it's definitely.
I think
doable.
we all have it in us. I think some of us are just innately better at it. Some of us have spent time to develop it, and some of us can spend time to develop it. For sure. Yeah.
It's worth slowing down to do it. I'll give you an example of how not to do it. I've had a warranty issue with a little refrigerator in my house, and people have kind of been dilly-dallying around. They have to come back out again. And instead of calling or emailing and asking us which dates work, they just sent a text and says, the text will be there on August 14th between 9 and 5. And it's like, well, that doesn't work for us, right? And you can automate it as much as you want, but it's like, hey, here's a few open spots. I mean, it's so easy to do with your calendar.
Even if they can't, even if they want to do exactly what they're doing, right? Like offering you one time, instead of saying the tech will be there, then ask.
Yes.
We have August 14th booked for you.
Would this work?
Would that work? That's it, because it's going to elicit the same response. Yeah. You're either going to say great or no.
Yeah. And at this point, I'm like, why would they, I forwarded it to my wife. I'm just like, well, they're scheduling me without even talking to me. It's not disrespectful. It's a lost opportunity. It's presumptive, and it's a lost opportunity to connect with, so slow down or be smarter as you're operating, that's the thing, and how you're addressing everybody, and, personalize it, man. Make them feel important and special and valued.
That's it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Just think about, focus on them. We talk about spotlighting versus, I can't remember the term that we use, the multitasking, right?
Oh yeah. Yes.
So don't do that. Just spotlight. When you're dealing with someone, deal with them.
Yeah. And teach your employees to do it, and teach your automations to do it. Think about it. It's worth it. So
it's worth it.
But hey, we had an interesting, occurrence last week. Was it last week? Yeah, I think that maybe even over the weekend.
Right up until an hour ago or something. Yeah.
That our Business Brain account on X got suspended, and like many social media suspensions, they're kind of vague. I don't know why they don't tell you.
Kind of vague. Yeah,
they're like, they don't tell you.
I don't even think. In fact, I know we didn't get a notification that our account was suspended. We did not. No, we just went. And to use it, Sadie was the first one, but it could have been you or me. It doesn't matter. Right. And we went to use. She went to use it and was like, "The account's suspended," and it was like, "It's suspended. BS. Click here to find out why." And it listed the X.com rules.
Yeah, that's stupid.
All three of us read the rules. It was like, "Oh, what did we do wrong?" And
none of this. Yeah,
we couldn't. And so, but they didn't. There was no you broke rule number 4A.
They never tell you. It's ridiculous.
Why not?
I don't know. They want wiggle room or something. But some lawyer has all these companies, if you break they just say, oh, you went against our terms and conditions, which are 400 pages long.
Yeah, good luck. Figure it out,
It's so terrible. Buddy. Yeah, so it brought up a good topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, they said, I loved what they said. It's permanently banned. You can file an appeal. Which is it?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, we filed the appeal. I sent the note in mainly because I didn't want, if it got shut down, if they summarily rejected it and banned us forever, I didn't want that on Sadie's shoulders, right? I figured, well, it's not going to make a difference who it comes from. They're going to treat it the same. Might as well just come from me, and then that way,
makes sense.
So I sent the thing out and just said, hey, I read through everything, and I don't think we violated a rule, but if we did, please tell us what it was. And then if it's something that's not terribly egregious, maybe we can come back and we'll just know not to do that thing, whatever that thing was again.
Yeah.
And the only thing we know is that the account is back on.
That's ridiculous.
I haven't seen any email come in saying, "Oh,
no,
here,
Dave, this mistake happened and we apologize." That's not happening. Not going to happen.
But it really underlines how important it is to not put all your eggs in someone else's basket. I mean, you were saying earlier, don't. I guess in Wednesday's episode, you were saying that you don't want to have just one client that you work for, right?
Yeah, of course not.
It's the same thing. It's like if you're building your brand and it's on a platform that you don't own, if the top level domain of wherever you live, if it's x.com or facebook.com or youtube.com,
Instagram, whatever, TikTok,
Instagram.com, whatever. If you are building a platform there, it is not your business. It's someone else's business. And you need to, it's okay, use that, but very quickly direct people to you so that you have them and you can contact them directly.
Yeah. I had a really great conversation with someone that's really very successful in building these social media, brands and companies and everything else. And his comment really kind of set me back. And he said, social is not the end. It's just the beginning. And it really made me think. I'm like, yeah, man, because I'm building this, brand of myself and trying to productize my knowledge and all this stuff on X. And the main goal, after I had that conversation with him, like, I've got to get my newsletter going.
Yes.
From the minute you start building your presence for your business or whatever, your personal brand on social, no matter what platform, your main goal has to be to get your clients off of there and onto something you control, whether it's a newsletter, your website, membership, whatever it is, you need to get them off there and give them an incentive to get off and follow you. And that's what I really missed for a long time was it's not just good enough to have a newsletter. Why should they join? You need to give them something. And especially people want something. They want this value, so you get a lead magnet. And, I give away information. It's like, hey, here's a list of auction companies I've bought from for the last 25 years, 50 companies. It's all yours. And they go through, click through it. And to get the list, they subscribe. And I say, hey, man, you can get the list and unsubscribe for the first one. It's okay with me. And that's what we have. So you'll see you get 100 new subscribers and maybe 10 or 15 will unsubscribe after the thing. But your net positive keeps growing up and up and up. So you're in control of those people because your account could get shut off. One of your competitors could file a complaint about, some BS thing. And so you get suspended. You just need to take control of it and not have all your eggs in one basket. To your point, we preach about, not having your whole career in someone else's hands. It's the same. Don't have your business in someone else's hands that you're building on social media. Don't do it.
Yep. And at the very least, diversify yourself so that if you are a social media presence, you're not just on one platform, you're on many. Good too. Yeah. But why not start a podcast where you're doing it at your own domain? Like, sure, we host our stuff. We don't actually host the media files on our servers, but we own the domain businessbrain.show, and that's what your podcatcher or podcast player is subscribed to. So if we had to move all our media files, we own the domain that points you to those media files. And so we can move them.
Yeah. Be in control.
So
it's important.
Please subscribe to the show. That's my ask, number one. And then number two, just because we've had a problem with it and it would probably look good to boost up our follower numbers, please go subscribe to us on X at BizBrain Show.
Yeah, just follow us. You don't have to subscribe up there.
Sorry, you're right. Yeah, follow is the we live in a world
different
where follow and subscribe mean different.
Very
you're right.
Different.
Follow the podcast in your podcast player. Follow us on X. That's correct.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. But I'd love to hear ways that you've taken control of your brand off of social. If we have this great funnel that we move people into. Share it. Feedback at businessbrain.show. We'll talk about it here on an episode. We'll help each other. We're all trying to come up with ways to beat the system. Right?
That's it. Yep. Help us beat the system. Feedback at businessbrain.show. And that way we can all keep living that charmed life individually together. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. And we're out.
Sweet. Awesome. That was great. Very good. Very good. Cool. So, yeah, everybody on the stream, thank you very much. We're going to wrap things up. And if you subscribe use any podcast app or service that you're doing, but follow us up there too, so you can get the audio. You can listen to it again in the car.
That's right. Yeah, you can zone out if you want to.
There you go. Get that. What is that?
Default mode network.
Default mode network. I got to remember that.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, we're going to end the stream. Thanks for joining us, folks. Take care.
Later.